Tonight on A Week in League, we'll be talking LPL, LCK, LEC, LCS, new Summoners Cup design, streamer LS ban, LEC partners with AfreecaTV, and so much more right after the intro. Welcome to A Week in League, where we cover League of Legends esports all around the globe from all 4 major regions. I'm your host Slomar, and let's just get right into the news. As usual, timestamps and references will be in the description, and while you're down there, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Thanks. The LNG Miracle Run has come to an end, with LNG losing in the losers bracket match to EDG. EDG managed to win the series 3-1. This is one of the series we predicted going to LNG, so we got that prediction wrong. I was really hoping LNG and Doinby can make a deep run in the playoffs, but EDG managed to shut this down. We'll have to see if LNG can make it through the playoffs gauntlet. EDG then move on to the semifinals, going up against TES. TES wins the series 3-0 in a very dominant fashion, showing that EDG is no match for the LPL number 1 seed. Knowing that TES went up against EDG, that means that TES lost their first series against JDG. The semifinals between JDG and TES went all the way to 5 games and was an extremely close fight between both teams. This has now become officially a preview of the finals, as both TES and JDG have qualified for the finals. The LPL finals will be taking place on September 1st. It looks like we got all 3 games in the LPL playoffs wrong last week, which makes our current prediction score for the LPL playoffs as shown. We did predict the TES versus JDG finals, however, we predicted it happening in a different bracket. Anyways, the finals will take place on Thursday and will be arguably one of the most hyped playoffs matches this season. TES and JDG have been neck and neck all year. I think this is a close one, as close to a 50-50 as it gets. I still have hopes for the number 1 seed TES to go all the way, so let's say TES will make it out. The LPL playoffs only determine 2 out of the 4 world slots that the LPL gets. The other 2 slots are determined by the regional finals, also known as the Gauntlet. The Gauntlet will have 4 teams playing a single elimination bracket over 3 games. The 4 teams participating this year are V5, RNG, EDG, and LNG. The teams are fighting for 2 world slots this weekend from the 2nd till the 4th. The first series will take place on Friday the 2nd between RNG and EDG. I still have hope that the MSI champs RNG can pull off the win and make it to Worlds this year. I'm saying RNG will make it out. The next series will take place on Saturday between V5 and LNG. This one is very difficult to predict in my opinion, as V5 has been looking very shaky and LNG just did their deep playoffs run. I think this could really go either way and will come down to whoever shows up on the day. Let's say LNG will make it out. Let's go Doinby. Assuming LNG and RNG win, the regional gauntlet final will take place on Sunday. The series will determine who gets the 3rd and 4th seed for the LPL. Note that the 4th seed starts in the play-in stage, while the 3rd seed starts in the group stage. I think this is also going to be another tough one to call, but I'm still all aboard the LNG hype train. Let's say LNG will make it out and punch their Worlds ticket. Tune in next week for a recap of the LPL playoffs, regional gauntlet, and a preview of the LPL teams making it to Worlds this year. The LCK playoffs final between T1 and Gen G took place on Sunday, and Gen G showed the entire world how they're ready for the LPL competition. Gen G ended up going 3-0 against T1 in a very dominant fashion. We predicted T1 to make it out of this one and be the LCK champions, however, Gen G made sure we got this one wrong. The LCK gets 4 slots for Worlds, and only 2 are determined through the playoffs bracket. The 2 other slots are determined through the regional gauntlet. Similar to the LPL gauntlet, we'll have 4 teams competing in a single round elimination bracket over 3 games. Those 4 teams are DRX, DK, KT, and LSB. The first gauntlet game will take place on Thursday, September 1st between Dom1 Kia and LSB. I think this is an easy prediction because I think LSB is a cut above Dom1 Kia. LSB will make it out. The next game will take place on Friday the 2nd between KT and DRX. This one's a little difficult to predict for me as I want to see KT and Deft at Worlds this year. Unfortunately, there could only be one. So this is gonna be very biased, and I'll say I want to see my boy Deft on the international stage, so DRX will make it out. Assuming DRX and LSB make it out to the finals on Saturday, I think LSB will win that match. Tune in next week for a recap of the LCK playoffs and regional gauntlet. We'll also be doing a preview of all the LCK teams that have made it to Worlds this year. After taking a 1-week break, the LEC playoffs kicked off this last weekend. We had 3 best of 5s happen this weekend, which means we could have a maximum of 15 games. And well, we got 14 out of the maximum 15 possible games. And this theme of best of 5s going all the way doesn't stop here. More on that in the LCS segment. We managed to only get 2 out of last week's 3 predictions correct, so let's get to recapping all 3 series. The first series between Rogue and Mad Lions took place on Friday the 26th, and Rogue managed to win 3-2. Are we going to get another Rogue Razor Cake this year? We'll have to wait and find out. On Saturday, we had G2 versus Misfit, and G2 won that one with a 3-1 score. This is the only series that ended before we hit that sweet silver scrapes. On Sunday, we had Fnatic versus XL, and Fnatic took it all the way to 5 games, managing to win 3-2. This means XL have been eliminated from playoffs this year. See ya later, XL! This weekend, we have another 3 series to predict, so let's get started on that. On Friday, we have Fnatic versus Misfits. To be honest, I'm not really sure who's gonna win this one since Fnatic have been looking weird all split, and Misfits have been on an upwards trajectory. This could honestly go either way, but I'm hoping we get 5 games and some silver scrapes out of this one. Let's say Fnatic will make it out. On Saturday, we have our first semifinals match between G2 and Rogue. This one will be a banger, regardless of who wins. I believe G2 will make it out and save their spot in finals. On Sunday, we have Mad Lions versus the winner of Friday's game, which we predicted to be Fnatic. This one's also a little hard to predict since both teams have had their fair share of ups and downs this split. I think Fnatic will make it out and continue their playoffs run. We still have one more weekend of LEC playoffs coming up where the other semifinals match and finals will take place. Tune in next week for our LEC playoff coverage and recap. The LCS playoffs last weekend were a banger, with silver scrapes in almost every series. We had a maximum of 20 games possible this weekend, and we got 19. Honestly, I'm loving the current meta and how it allows for these best of 5s to go all the way to 5 games. The first series took place on Thursday between TSM and FlyQuest. TSM gets Tactical back on the main roster in Game 3 of the series. Tactical also stayed for the rest of the series, helping TSM secure a 3-2 win. On Friday, we had Golden Guardians versus CLG. The series was unexpectedly close between the 4th seed CLG and the number 8 seed Golden Guardians. CLG ended up clutching the series and winning 3-2. TL versus 100 Thieves played on Saturday, and boy was this a banger. The TL versus 100 Thieves rivalry is becoming a real thing, and it seems like 100 Thieves is able to get the best out of TL when it matters most. 100 Thieves make it out and win the series 3-2. On Sunday, we had what's arguably the biggest upset in playoffs so far. C9 versus EG went to 4 games, and C9 managed to win 3-1. There have been rumors going around saying that EG isn't looking too good in scrims, but I bet nobody would have predicted a C9 win going into the series. Actually, One man did predict this, and his name was Jat. Jat was the only prediction on broadcast out of 16 predictions to predict a C9 win. He has since put out an episode of his show, JLXP, explaining why he picked Cloud9. If you're at all interested, it's definitely worth a watch. It looks like we got 2 out of 4 predictions right last week, and with that out of the way, let's talk about the next set of games in the LCS playoffs. On Thursday, yes, I did say Thursday, we get another 4-day broadcast week. Hype! We have CLG versus TL. This is a sad series for me as I am both a TL and a CLG fan. I don't know who to pick on this one, so let's ask Google to flip a coin and we'll say heads is TL and tails is CLG. According to our coin flip, CLG will make it out. On Friday, we have EG versus TSM. Even with the scrim rumors, I doubt EG will lose to TSM. Let's say EG will make it out. And we have our first semifinals match on Sunday between Cloud9 and 100 Thieves. This, in my opinion, will be the most interesting game this weekend, and it will have a major impact on the rest of the playoffs bracket. I'm not really sure how this series will play out, but let's say C9 will continue their run and make it out to the finals. On Sunday, we have the winners from Thursday and Friday face off, which, according to our predictions, will be CLG versus EG. If EG continues to look shaky, I think there's a world where CLG can beat them. However, I think the safer pick is EG, so let's say EG will make it out. We still have one more weekend of LCS playoffs coming up where the other semifinals match and finals will take place. Tune in next week for our LCS playoffs coverage and recap. Welcome to In Other News, where we discuss news that may or may not be relevant to the scene. This week's headline is LOL Esports and Tiffany's unveil the new Summoners Cup. On last week's episode, as of right now, we don't know much about the design or anything for that matter, but I expect a sweet piece of content to come out closer to Worlds talking about the partnership and the new design for the cup. Well, the sweet piece of content is here, ladies and gentlemen. The video they put out is really cool and you should definitely check it out. The new design incorporates all the previous teams and players into the etching on the sides of the cup. Each role also represents one of the handles with the role icon on top. They also put out a second video on the making of the Summoners Cup. This one's a little less cool comparatively, but don't get me wrong, I like the video and all, I just hoped it had a little more to it. The new Summoners Cup was completed over the span of 4 months and over 270 hours. If you want to learn more, links are always in the description. In other news, LS gets banned on Twitch after Riot Games issues a DMCA for co-streaming the LEC. The streamer was quickly unbanned afterwards. The reasons for what I'm going to assume is an accidental ban are still unknown. If you want to read more, links are in the description. In other news, the LEC partners up with AfreecaTV to broadcast the 2022 Summer Split Playoffs in Korean and English. Quote, "We know our beloved fans in Korea will enjoy the LEC and we're happy to announce that we'll offer them the opportunity to watch the playoffs in Korean," the LEC commissioner Artem Baikov said. He also added, "We look forward to seeing fans across the globe connect and tune in to watch our top teams compete for a spot at Worlds." This is massive news, especially after all the viewership talks that have been going on this last year. Can this be the boost the LEC needs to gain a bigger viewership? With the 4th seed at Worlds this year, the LEC certainly has a lot more eyes on them. In other news, Riot confirms reworked Udyr will not be available at Worlds 2022. This is probably not that surprising since it usually takes a few months before new champions are enabled for pro play. Let's hope Udyr's in the meta for next year and we can see some pro play Udyr. In other news, Nautilus is next in line for a league touch-up update, and that is similar to Maokai and Swain updates. At this point, a lot of old champions are on track for some sort of update. However, Nautilus is next. I just find it strange that they're tackling Nautilus this early since he's still seeing a lot of pro play and his solo queue numbers are not that bad. Either way, the news is still exciting. No exact details have been announced about the update, and we'll probably have to wait until something's announced on the PBE. In other news, 100 Thieves Academy support player Busio has been named the most valuable player for the LCS Academy Summer Split. The fact that 100 Thieves continues to develop more NA talent is very impressive in my opinion. We'll have to wait and see where Busio ends up next year. Will he make the jump to LCS? Who knows? And speaking of upcoming prospects, EU Masters is happening right now, with games going on until the 25th. Not like I'm advertising for them or anything, but this is where all the next year LEC rookies will make their statements. The broadcast and caster talent is top notch as well. If you want to watch some future LEC rookies, perhaps tune into the semifinals or finals. In other news, and I don't really know where to start on this one, but apparently Sivir's W can bounce on dead minions. Yeah, and this is not even the worst of it. When this bug was reported, Riot Games employee Galaxy Smash responded saying, "This is functioning as intended." This seems a little weird to me since nothing should be bouncing off of any dead thing, but maybe I'm just an old school player. Maybe ghost minions are just the future and I'm a boomer. Spooky minion. Spooky minion. Before we get into the list of teams that have qualified for Worlds, let's talk about how more than 50% of the major region playoff series went all the way to 5 games this last weekend. This, in my opinion, is a byproduct of the current meta. I'm actually in favor of this objective-oriented meta and what it means for the scene, especially if we get more silver scrapes. I'm no Mark Z, but we all love a little D-woo-woo, D-woo-woo. Here are all the teams that have qualified for Worlds 2022 so far. We have TES, JDG, G2, Rogue, Mad Lions, T1, Gen G, 100 Thieves, C9, and Isurus. As we get closer to Worlds, this list will just keep on growing. And that's the end of our show for this week. We're getting very close to crowning all our major region champions, and that's just hype. I still can't believe how close we are to 100 subs. Thank you so much for all the support. At 100 subscribers, I'll release a behind the scenes video going over how I make one of these episodes from start to finish. If you're enjoying the show, please consider subscribing. Have a good night and good luck in solo queue.